All right, so we are back for day 4, yay. And we're going to finalize things. And then today, part of today's conversation is going to be about what we do with it. Now that we've got it, right? Now that we've got a mission, a vision, and values, how do we use them? But before we get there, let's just make sure that everybody feels really solid with their mission, vision, and values. Because if you're not solid with it, if you don't feel like you've got it yet, well, 2 things. First of all, you have to feel like it really is you. It really does talk about you and your business. Second of all, you might actually not have the wording the best way you can possibly have it yet. I think I told you last time, first time I did it, I believed in it, but the wording didn't excite me yet. It wasn't until I worked on it again, maybe 2 or 3 years later, that I got the wording to a place where I was like, oh, wow, that's exactly it. So you might not be exactly there yet, but you should be at a point where you say, yep, this makes sense. I'm willing to share it with my clients. I'm willing to share it with my team, and we're willing to, we're ready to work with it. Okay, so how about mission and vision? So where are you with that? Have you guys got it? I know, Greg, you felt pretty confident with it last time.
Yeah. I like it.
You're still there? Did you change it any?
No, I haven't changed it.
So give us the mission and the vision.
Our mission is to create and leverage compelling content so that businesses foster meaningful connections, inspire audiences, and drive intended results.
Awesome.
And the vision is our vision is to create, motivate, and inspire so that clients drive interaction and engagement through compelling content.
Okay. I like that. Lexi and John, let's hear what you've got.
Okay, we have, our mission is to enhance, construct, and build so that homeowners have a safe, durable, and beautiful home. Our vision is to be the industry standard for quality craftsmanship, honesty, and superior customer service.
Okay. I like them both. I feel they don't feel connected because they're kind of different. So I'm wondering if there's a way to connect them. And the vision should be more, or should have something about roofing, because that's what this business is about, or at least construction, which I think it did have construction. I'm not sure. Say that again.
Our vision is to be the industry standard for quality craftsmanship, honesty, and superior customer service. So quality craftsmanship would be construction.
Okay. So the industry standard, that's interesting, because sometimes we think about a standard as being, this is the standard thing, this is what everybody does. And sometimes we think about it as setting the bar.
Right, that's what we're trying to.
Yeah. So I wonder if there's a better way to say that, and then and then read that mission again, because I want them to connect.
Our mission is to enhance, construct, and build so that homeowners have safe, durable, and beautiful homes.
Mm-hmm. I think it should say something like the construction industry standard, and then I'm still concerned about the word standard. Your vision. Because I want you to stay, I want it to be clear that you're in the same ballpark. The other one could be anything. It could be the standard for making baseballs, right? And so it's not narrow enough. Your vision has to be pretty narrow as to clearly what you're doing. So I really think it should be the roofing, but we could make it we could make it broader to construction.
How about our vision is to set the industry standard for quality craftsmanship, honesty, and superior customer service? Would that be a little better?
Yes, that's better. And I still think you need to put in construction or roofing or something. The construction
about-
industry standard, the
about-
roofing industry standard, something to narrow it down. You don't want it, this one shouldn't be so broad that somebody could interpret it as baseballs that you make.
Hmm.
What about the standard for roofing excellence for the vision?
Yeah,
Is that
that-
specific to you?
Set the standard for roofing excellence.
Yeah, I like that.
Part of your tagline too.
It is.
Set the standard. Set-
How does that sound, John?
Very good.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I like it too. Now read the whole thing again.
Okay, our mission is to enhance, construct, and build so that homeowners have a safe, durable, and beautiful home. Our vision is to set the standard for roofing excellence, quality craftsmanship, honesty, and superior customer service.
I think that's great.
Okay,
That
I
feels really solid to me. How does it feel to you, John?
feels very good.
Okay, great. That's awesome.
Thanks, guys.
I love that you both have them. So again, the mission is kind of an overarching idea, right? So now, John, with your mission, you could do other things in the construction industry, lots of other things in the construction industry that make the house a beautiful, safe home, right?
Mhm.
And with your vision, it's clear what you're trying to do with roofing. And if you choose to add another division to this, it could be something like, our mission is to set the masonry standard for blah, 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 right? You could do that if you wanted to add it, when you get to the point where you're big enough and you want to add something else.
I
But
would
for
actually
now,
love to have this right on my website. I like it a lot, actually.
yeah, I think it can go right on your website. The vision can go right on your website, not the mission.
Okay.
The mission, so I usually suggest one or the other for the website. Sometimes it makes sense to put both, but I usually suggest one or the other. Right now, your website is a roofing website, so your vision makes the most sense to put on your website. Okay,
Yeah, we have pictures of siding and stuff on there too, no? Yeah.
okay, cool. All right. So the mission is broad enough or narrow enough that it gives you direction. So in John's case, it's all about construction. In Greg's case, it's about communication and connecting with prospects, right? But there's 100 different ways that you can fulfill it. Your vision is one of those 100 ways. So John, your vision talks about specifically about roofing. And you could make it say roofing and siding if that's what you want it to say. Right?
Okay.
If that's what you're doing now, you could say roofing and siding. Cool. So move on. Let's talk about how you're going to actually use this now that you've got it. So what are some ways you think you could actually use the mission, the vision, and the values?
Well,
Make sure.
go ahead,
okay.
John.
Go
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, make sure that the, like whoever we hire, reads this and, basically lives it every day or, when they come to work, they know that this is what this is what we wanna put forward, like, this is what we wanna show everybody.
So use it to train your team and develop the culture of your organization, right?
Mhm.
Love that. How else can you use it? So another thing you can do is inspire yourself and your team with these, with the mission and the vision, right?
I was just about to say, we could read this every day. You wake up and just.
Like a mantra.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a mantra. And what does it do for you when you read it? John, how do you feel when you read that?
I would say like it builds a little fire inside you, right? Like it energizes you a little bit.
I want to hear how you feel personally.
Um, that's how I feel. I got like a little tingly feeling.
Awesome. That's great. That's what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to get you excited to do this. Like, wow, I can't wait to go do that. I am excited to be able to do that every day.
Might even grab a hammer or something. And put some tool-
Okay, Greg, how about you? How does it make you feel when you read it?
It's the same thing. It provides, I guess, structure and like guidance on some level. Like it'll kind of, it keeps you grounded and it keeps you on point. It keeps you kind of focused and honed in on.
Oh, okay, now I want you to use, how does it make you feel? So instead of saying you, I want to hear I.
I feel more structured and organized, and like I have more of a cohesive outline for how I'm going to do this. I see it as like one of my clients that I started working with recently in their conference room, they actually had on the wall their mission, vision, and values. And this is before we even spoke about this. And I actually really like that. We actually got a shot of it. I think it's more used internally. Like you could put it on your website, but I think it's more for internal use. Like put it on your office wall so you see it every day, and your employees are constantly reminded of it. And then if visitors come to the office, they see like they're putting that at the forefront, so they take it seriously.
Yep.
And I think just kind of keeping it on the periphery, but like, it doesn't be front and center, but just always kind of have it on the periphery. So you're always reminded of it and it keeps you on track.
I think those are all great ideas. I was in one office recently where they had a monitor as you walked in the door, and it had the values and the mission and vision. They were scrolling all day long. So as you walked in the door, you might see a different one each time. That's another way to do it, but the same kind of thing. Okay, so we've got, you can use it when you're training your team. You can help develop the culture of your team with it. You can use it to inspire yourself and your team. How else can we use it?
You can put it in like a PDF when you're hiring and have new employees or new hires. That's like a onboarding document. I guess you could put it in some kind of I don't know if you put it in marketing materials. That's why, I don't know. I feel like it's more of an internal thing.
So as a consumer, if you're looking at 3 different roofers, and they all seem to be about the same, but John's mission is up on, or vision is up on his website. Read it again, John.
Vision or the mission?
The vision.
Our vision is to set the standard for roofing excellence, quality craftsmanship, honesty, and superior customer service.
Yeah, you're trying to decide between 3. The others just talk about what they do. This one is on their website. Which one are you going to choose?
I would want my customers to know that this is what I stand for, and
Yeah,
that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do my best to provide that.
exactly. And your customers are going to look at that and say, oh, well, he's a deeper thinker than these other guys who are just out here with a hammer. This guy, he really cares. And he's working to be great and better than everybody else. And yeah, everybody says they're that, but they don't say that that's their mission or vision, right? So I do believe that this can be a marketing used in marketing. Now it's more subtle. It's not like I put it out in an ad or something, but it goes on your website and you talk about it with your clients or your prospects. You know, this is what we care about. This is what we are all about. And I do believe it's really good for marketing. It also, you know, it can inspire people to consider you when they might not have otherwise, right? Okay. There's more ways that you can use it, these things. What are they? Can you think of some other ways? One really good thing to do is to use this to hire and fire team members. If you talk about your values and your mission and vision as you're hiring, and then you make it clear after you've hired them what you really care about, and they don't live up to the standards, you can then say, this person isn't working for us. It's not the right fit. It's just not the right fit. So it's actually a really great thing to make hiring and firing decisions on. One of my clients, I think I told you this story, she was struggling with a team member who was always complaining, always did good work, but had a not good attitude, and it was bringing down everybody in the organization. And she was like, this person does good work. So how do I decide to fire them? Because they're just driving me crazy. And we looked at her values and we said, well, the reason it's driving you crazy is because one of your values is a positive attitude at work. And if this person isn't living up to that, then this person is not ever going to feel comfortable as an employee from your perspective. And in fact, that person probably was not comfortable herself being an employee in an organization where everybody else had a positive attitude and she didn't. But it became a conversation first about, listen, this is one of the values of the business and you're not living up to it. And we need to change that. We want a positive attitude in this office so that you do better work and everybody else does better work. And if we don't have a positive attitude, then we have to let you go. And it didn't change. And so she did have to let that person go. But it becomes a reason because you've got it identified as a value. So, let me hang on one second. I was just checking to make sure that wasn't either Remy or Albert. Okay, so here's more ways that you can use it. When you have to make decisions in the business, and there's a lot of decisions you have to make as a business owner, you're going to hold those decisions up to your mission, your vision, and your values. So let's say, for example, John is trying to decide whether or not to expand and bring in another part of construction, right, into his business. Let's say masonry, just to make it simple. So now you have to decide, okay, does it fit our mission? And if your missions, or if your vision, does it fit our mission? Yes, that's good. Does it fit our vision? Then no, but we can change, we can have a separate division with a different vision, okay? So it can be a part of the whole under the umbrella, but it can also be its own thing with a slightly different vision. But then you have to hold it up to your values too. Now, let's say what you're doing is you're going to purchase somebody else's masonry business. That's the option that you're considering. I'm going to purchase somebody else's masonry business so we can expand. Now you're going to hold that up to your values and see what do they care about, and will that fit into our business? Is that a good match for us? because they already have some culture. And if it's not, then the next question is, can we adjust it so that it does fit? That it does follow our values. So in my case, one of my values has to do with learning for myself and for my clients. And it's continuous learning. So I have to make a decision regularly about where am I going to spend my time and money, right? And if I look at my values and I say, oh, learning is a value, well, I have to spend my money, some of my money, on learning for myself, right? Because that is a value. And if I'm not living that value by learning myself, being one of the people who's learning, then it's not in alignment with what I want for the business, right? It doesn't keep me, in my case, it doesn't keep me on top of my craft. So most decisions that you have to make in your business, particularly the big decisions, not so much the little decisions, but big decisions, you're going to hold them up to the mission, the vision, and the values, and see, does it stand the test? Does this decision we're trying to make sense with these pillars that we have of mission, vision, values? Does that make sense?
Yeah, a lot of sense.
Okay. So what this ends up doing is it makes decision making a whole lot easier. Right? So I know, John, you've been thinking about advertising. How do I spend my money? Where do I spend my money on advertising? Right? Well, you can hold up your advertising decisions to these same standards.
Mhm.
Is this decision I have to make about advertising, is that setting the standard for the industry? Right? And if it's not, if it's just ho-hum, just what everybody else does, then maybe it's not the right thing for you. Now, having said that, not everything has to fit, right? Not everything you do has to fit, but it really does help you make decisions. Okay? There's definitely going to be things you do that don't fit perfectly into the mission, vision, and values. But as you're making decisions, especially big decisions, if you hold it up to the mission, vision, and values, it can make it a much easier decision to make. But also then, as you're looking for new opportunities, so now, John, you've got, we set the standard for the industry as your vision. So now you have to ask yourself, okay, if we're setting the standard for the industry, that means we want to be better than what's out there right now. Is this advertising option I'm considering actually better, or is it just the same? And if it's not actually better, then what do we need to do to make it better, right? So it could be a small tweak, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be a big deal change, but it could be, yes, we're going to advertise on Google, but we're going to do it in a certain way, right? That makes it above everybody else. Okay,
Mhm.
cool. So the same kinds of things with you, Greg. And here's another thing you can hold up to it. Is this the client I want to have? Right? If you have, let's say in my case, if I have a client who's not interested in learning, or a prospect who's not interested in learning, that's not a good client for me. If you have a prospect who just wants it done fast and dirty and doesn't want it done right, it's not a good client for you. Same thing for you, Greg, because I know that's not part of your values either. You want your work to be special, although I don't know that ended up in your values, did it?
You're on mute.
You're muted, Greg.
I would say that's the creative ambition would be a byproduct of that.
Okay, got it. So now you're looking at your clients and you're saying, is this the right type of client for me? Because a company that has this mission, vision, and values, am I going to say yes to this client? You don't have to say yes to everybody who comes along,
Right.
right? If somebody just wants a quick and dirty something and it's not going to be up to your level of skill, you could still say yes if you wanted to. But it's easy to say, nope, they don't fit. They don't fit. It's not a good match for us. And the other thing is you can use it to align yourself with other organizations, okay, to see if that's a good fit. So, John, you were talking about at one point, maybe working with solar panel companies. Well, if you look at your mission, vision, and values, and you look at their mission, vision, and values, and you're thinking about, being a more connected partner, not just a once in a while kind of thing, but a regular, work with this person on a regular basis. Knowing their mission, vision, and values might really help to see if that's a good fit. Greg, same with you. If you're working with a website person or a social media person to take the work that you've done and use it in the work they do, right? Having mission, vision, and values and knowing what they stand for and what they care about will really help you make the decision, is this a good partner for me?
And how are you going to know that? Like when you're vetting somebody?
Yeah, it's a good question. You have to start to ask questions that get to, what do you really care about? What matters to you guys? Because not everybody's done this mission, vision, and values work, right? But you can say, okay, what's most important to you when you're working with your clients? And then you ask them to give you examples, because you don't want just lip service either. You want to see how it plays out with their clients. And in your case, Greg, they might say, you know what? Our clients really want it fast. So we do what we can to make it a really, really get it to them quickly. And absolutely, there are clients out there who do want it quickly, right? And they don't care that all the back end pieces are connected and the SEO is all right and all that. But that might not be the right person for you to partner with, because you now are going to think about, okay, my clients are now going to work with this person. Is that person the right person for me to be referring them to or working with, right? So you have to now come up with a few questions that will help you identify, what do the people that you're talking to care about, whether they are clients or prospective partners in some way, or team members, right? And then you also have to communicate what matters to you, to them. So we're going to talk for a few minutes now about how to do that, how to communicate, particularly with your team. Because this is critical that the whole team get what it's about. This is how you develop the culture for your business, and it's how you ensure that your team members can make decisions without you being there, without always having you be the bottleneck, okay? I think the easiest way to do this is have regular team meetings of some sort. Like in John's case, it might be every morning on the job, or maybe it's once a week or whatever, but you have regular team meetings. And during that meeting, you choose one value or one part of the mission or the vision, and you find a story of something that's happened recently with somebody on the team that highlights a good example of what you want that value to mean, okay? So setting the industry standard for customer service, okay? John, you might tell a story about how your team member went above and beyond to make sure that the client had, something taken care of before their pet walked outside, or something. And it doesn't even have to be something specific to your business. Maybe it's the customer accidentally let the pet outside, and we quickly grabbed him and put him back, took him back to the owner and said, listen, the ground isn't yet cleared up. We'll be working on that at the end of the day, but we don't want your dog running around, That's an example of great customer service, because you're not just caring for the roof, you're also caring for your client and their dog, right? So you can tell that story, and the point is to tell stories that are positive examples of what you want to see. It's not the opportunity to say, oh, somebody did something or other that's really not good, right? It's the opportunity to highlight the good things that are great examples of what you want to see. So when something is not, it goes against your values, then you're bringing it one-on-one to that person. Okay. But if it's something good, if it's a good example, then you're bringing it to the whole team as a learning experience. And your story can be 1 to 2 minutes. It does not have to be a big deal story. Okay. You can tell the story in 1 or 2 minutes. Say, you know what, this is a great example of our value of excellent customer service. And then you tell the quick story and say thank you to the person, and then you're done. But it helps to build that culture and the team, and the team starts to really understand, okay, this is what we care about, right? You guys have been totally silent. It's been a monologue, so now I need to hear from you.
Yeah, I mean, it all makes sense. I guess I'm kind of thinking of it from the perspective of my sales conversations, and there's so many questions I'm already asking. So how am I going to fit that in to make sure not only I'm asking the proper questions, but I'm also aligning values? So I think I'm thinking of like, how am I going to get, my priority is obviously acquiring the client, and then how am I also going to get the value thing in there?
So you can get the value in some ways, and it's 2 for 1 in a sales conversation by asking a question like, so what's most important in doing this project? What's most important? Or what's most important for us to get right? That's one way to figure out what matters to them. But it's also food for how do we make sure that we do the job that they're looking for? Right?
But aren't those more like logistical things, or I don't know, like they're gonna, like in my case, they're gonna say, oh well, we want to do X, Y, or Z on Google, or we want more lead forms signed up or something, or you know, in John's case, it's probably gonna be something like, oh, we want to replicate this building, or it's gonna be very like operation side. So like how, I don't see how, like how would you get them to talk values when during the sales conversation? Because if you're gonna like if you're hiring somebody, it makes sense to ask those questions. But in a sales, if you want to make sure that a client is the right fit, how do you kind of determine that?
So if you asked me that question, what's most important to get right in us doing this? I would say, I want to make sure we have the right feeling in the videos that showcases quality and excellence. And I mean, obviously, eventually I would like to make sure that it's going to have return on investment, right? But it's got to impart the right image for me. Now, does that tell you a little bit about what I value?
Yeah, you value perception and how people perceive
Interesting.
you. Well, you think I'm wrong?
No, I don't. But but what about the perception?
Well, you're saying what's important to you is make sure we get the how we portray you is appropriate and up to the standards that you would portray yourself.
Right. So now you know my standards too, from what I've said.
you need to make sure who you're working with match or meet a level of quality that you would expect for yourself, kind of thing.
So that was an example if your value had something to do with quality, right? Of work, quality of work. So why don't you tell me what some of your values are? I've forgotten. I can't remember everybody's values. So tell me what they were, Greg.
I forgot to. Okay, creative ambition, adaptability and efficiency, clear communication, transparency and candor, professionalism and reliability, and taking pride in our work.
Like I remember half of them off the top.
That's why I don't want you to have too many, because eventually I want you to know them all. And I want your team to know them all, right? And I want everybody in your organization to know what they mean too, not just the words, but what they mean to you. That's why I always say 3 to 7 max.
Well, this is 6, but
Yeah, no, it's fine.
I could lose some, like transparency and candor. I could lose and candor. That's fine. I don't need candor. Maybe adaptability and efficiency. Those are two. They're both strong. Professionalism and reliability, and adaptability and efficiency. They're 2 different things, but they're both very important. So
Right, and I am not suggesting that you take one word out.
okay.
If it helps to clarify it, what you mean by it.
Sure.
So if you wanted to ask, if you wanted to figure out whether or not their value of, what was it? Transparency and candor. What was it? Honesty and candor?
Transparency and candor.
Transparency and candor. Okay. So,
Can I just say something?
yeah,
I would just want to say, like, during a sales, like, for me, like, if I'm selling a job, right? If I'm at a client's house, one of the biggest parts of selling the job is qualifying that person, making sure that they're a right fit for you. Like, it's huge. You know what I mean? And part of qualifying is making sure that your standards align. It's definitely like a big part of choosing the right clients. That's why just wanted to say that. That's all.
yeah, I agree with that, John. It is a big part of finding the right clients, making sure they align. Because if they don't align, you know what happens?
You
They're
get
gonna keep-
problems.
They're going to keep coming back to you with this problem after this problem after this problem, right? There's going to be one thing, and then there's going to be another thing, and then there's going to be another thing. So, and Greg, you're not going to figure out all of these things with every client. But as you are talking to your clients, you do want to kind of keep in mind, okay, does this person actually fit with what I'm looking for as a client? So maybe the thing for you then would be to define a client who has those categories or those characteristics. So let's take transparency and candor. If a client that you were considering had transparency and candor, what would that look like?
They would be very open and honest about what they really want, right? Like I can generally get a good idea if someone's BSing me or if they're just window shopping or if they just whatever. And I don't know. I'm sure everybody can relate. Like certain calls, you just vibe with the person and you could just feel that connection. Not saying you get the job, but you can feel, I like this person. So I think just on a gut level, you kind of get that feeling. And then you could also tell by pricing questions they ask, turnaround time questions, are they being realistic, things like that. So for me, it comes down to like I had a guy who reached back out to me, hey Greg, I told you I'd reach out when I'm ready for a video. I'm ready for a video. And then it was like pulling teeth getting him to sign the deposit or submit the deposit sign, and he never actually did it. And then he gets back to me earlier this week, oh, and Greg, in second thought, I'm gonna pass. So he's just BSing and wasting time. So that's somebody that I kind of look out for. Like, are you going to move forward? Are we actually moving forward? Or are you just kind of, biding your time? So I think that's super important to me is their transparency and how I feel about, are they serious prospects or are they just, conversing with 10 different video producers?
And now you know how you can use your values to help you make a decision about a client. You just told me.
Yeah, I agree. I think like you want to, ideally you want to work with somebody that has all of your values or the majority of your values. And then you could just kind of on a gut level feel that. And then as you become more like familiar with your own values, you can ask more specific questions. But even before learning all this stuff and putting this on paper, I feel like you kind of just on a gut level can feel like, is this person on my level or not?
Right. And here's another thing. They don't have to have the same values that you have. But your values have to support their values, and their values have to support your values.
Hmm.
They don't have to be exactly the same. But they can't be against one another. They can't be fighting each other. So, they could be neutral. So for example, if somebody had a value of flexible time, let's say, for example, I need flexibility with my time. Let's say that was what your business often had as a value. And you were considering a person to work in the office, and that person wanted to have very strict hours for themselves, but they were willing to work, with you if you weren't there all the time, as long as there was a regular way to have a communication. So their value of time flexibility it's neutral, right? They don't care what you do. They prefer the rigid time that you had, which is not what you want, but they're able to support you, and you, with your flexible time, are able to allow them to work a rigid, 9 to 5 job, and they don't want to work after 5, and you can allow that to happen, and that will still feel comfortable. So you can support each other's values in that way. But if you have a value that flexible time is critical because I need people to be willing to work and make phone calls and respond after 10 o'clock at night, then that person you were just talking to is not going to fit. So you have to have values that complement each other at the very least, okay? Support and complement. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
All right. Any other questions here? Okay, good. Because we didn't have to help too many people today, that was good. I'm going to, I want to ask you about our next and last meeting. I want to just check and see if this date works for everybody. Give me 1 second to find it.
Oh, we have another meeting?
We have one more, yes, and this is with my friend Barbara, who is she's an expert at hiring for small business. And she's going to talk about how to use the values and the mission and the vision in hiring. So I was thinking about the 25th at about the same time as we've been going. So yeah, the 25th at like 12:30, or I think it will work for her. I have to double check, but I just want to make sure it works for you guys.
I'm good on the 25th.
Yeah,
You're
the
good
right
on
now, good.
You're good too? Okay, great. So I think I'll just go ahead and do that since the other two aren't here and I can't ask them. I'll just confirm it with her and then I'll send you an invite. It'll be probably an hour, maybe an hour and a half, but she's also going to talk about some things like a hiring letter and that kind of thing so that you get the process correct. Okay, for hiring. So I think you'll find it really, when I talk to her, I'm like, oh, that's really great. That's good stuff. So I think that'll be good. All right. So final homework is finalize your mission, your vision, your values. Change anything you think needs to be changed or whatever. Schedule some time with me so we can go over it. And we can do that maybe after we have Barbara come, because then we can talk about how to implement what Barbara teaches us into your business, okay?
Gotcha.
And takeaways from today.
Mission, vision, and values actually contribute to basically every aspect of your business. Right? Your hiring, firing, everything.
Yeah, they really do. How about you, Greg? What's a takeaway from today?
Just that it's good to have, I just feel more structured, like I have something to look at, or something that I can kind of use as like a guideline.
Yeah.
You know,
Definitely. And I love your idea about putting it on the wall. And as you're making decisions, you're going to hold your decision up to that standard that's on your wall. And the other thing is to look at that on a regular basis and say, am I actually living this? Am I actually doing what I set out to do here? Have I, in my case, am I regularly, continually learning? Because that was one of my values, right? Continuous learning. So I look at my values and I say, am I actually doing that? And if I haven't done that in a while, then I'll say, okay, what do I need to learn next? And I go and find that thing I need to learn next. So it also helps to keep you focused on the right things for the future. Cool. Lexi, what's your takeaway from today?
Just overall, I really enjoyed this. I've worked places that have very convoluted missions and visions, and it's like there's no way you can remember it. Like it doesn't mean anything to you as the employee. So this is kind of fun to make good ones.
Yeah. And it's important that it be simple enough that everybody can remember it.
Yeah, exactly.
So that they can live up to it. Right?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, I'm going to let you guys go a little early today because we didn't need any more time unless you've got any more questions.
No, I think we're good.
Okay.
Maybe.
Have a great week. Have a good weekend. And I think I'm seeing all of you next week anyway for something. So,
Yes.
all right.
All
Take
right.
care. Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you, guys.
you.
See you later.
Bye.